Greetings YouTube, this is DecKrash, better known as Brandon, and I'm back with another, unfortunately late, recap of the latest episode of Terra for those of you who like this. Alright, so this episode actually was really good today. It was much better than the last one. Alright, so it starts off with with a squad of the soldiers out on the border of Terra doing nighttime lookout, and they see like some sort of heat signature, and they think it's the Sixers. Now, I don't know if I went into this before, but the Sixers are sort of a splinter group that broke off from Terra. They're called Sixers because they were the sixth group of people to come through the time portal. They for some reason they all just went turncoat and left Terra, taking a lot of supplies and weapons with them, and forming their own little splinter group outside of Terra for some unknown purpose. And that's one of the big mystery things that the first episode of Terra kind of hints at, but never really goes into, though they do make the Sixers to be a very clear and constant danger. And they're hinting at the reasons why, and this reveals a little bit more about the whole plot, but we're not really sure what's going on. But anyway, so it starts off with the soldiers on the perimeter of Terra spotting some sort of heat signature, and they go out there and they run down this little girl. And so they bring her back to Terra and it takes her a while to gain the trust, and Elizabeth ends up managing to get her to talk. She says that her name is Leah Marcos, and she claims to have been part of the Sixers, but she claims that the leader of the Sixers, a woman named Mira, was very mean and I guess you could say abusive to her and her little brother. But she really doesn't say a whole lot. And then when they go, she said, "I left my bag out there." So the soldiers go back to where they found Leah to try to find her bag, and they end up getting caught by the Sixers, who gone out to try to see whatever happened to Leah. But Leah is slowly she gains the trust of the people in Terra and so when the Sixers finally come, she says, "No, I want to stay here." They let the other soldiers go because they realize they don't want to have a whole lot of bloodshed on their hands just to get these soldiers back, I guess. And so Leah lets the soldiers that she captured go, and they bring Leah out, but she says, "No, I want to stay in Terra." But then, and a lot of people can probably see where this is going, because this is a plot that probably a lot of people have seen before. And it's TV, it's tropes in shows and movies. You can't get away from them, but it's always in the way that they present them that makes them interesting. So anyway, of course, they discover that Leah has stolen something out from the inside of one of the homes that are in Terra It was hidden under the floorboards, and they've, of course. And the really big thing is that this house used to belong to Mira, who's now the leader of the Sixers, pretty much exiled away from Terra So they capture Leah before she has a chance to escape outside the city, outside the town, or whatever that Terra looks more like a village. But anyway, they capture her before she has a chance to escape Terra and they find it's this strange looking box. It's really weird looking, almost alien looking. I don't know if it's some sort of device from their original time or something else, but they can't open it. And so they realize, Commander Taylor realizes that, they've been played for fools. They realize, this girl's just old enough to be able to be innocent enough for people to trust her, and just old enough to know and understand what she's got to do. And the girl constantly protests that, she doesn't know what the box does. She was just told to get it or they're going to hurt her little brother. And so Jim, of course, her father, is taken sort of a liking to the little girl. And, he was told by Taylor, take her into their home. And she sort of starts to have opened up to her family at this point in time. So, that happened. So, they, and I totally lost my train of thought. Okay. So, he is more inclined to trust her when him being a former police officer from his own time, has a strong feeling the girl is really telling the truth, that that they were going to hurt her little brother, and especially when she leaves this like colored image saying, "I'm sorry I had to," in their home. So this leads him to go and try to find out what's going on with the Sixers and if they're really trying to hurt her brother. And of course, this gets him captured. But then, strangely enough, they let him go after Leah tries to tell him, well, things aren't what they seem. She starts saying some very interesting things about Taylor and about what's going on back in their original time, even though there's no way to get back. So it leads you to kind of wonder what's going on, and I don't want to spoil it for everyone. I'll let you watch to see what happens in the end. But this episode has done a really good job of, first of all, telling a very, very well told story. It does still it does expand a little bit more on the family, on Jim and his family and other relationships with each other. I wish they would have done a little bit more with Zoe, the youngest daughter, especially having brought another little girl into the house who doesn't seem to be too much older than Zoe is. I would have thought they would have focused on that more instead of just showing like bits and pieces of them just coloring together. They explored a little bit more on Maddie, the middle daughter, and her relationship with the soldier boy, and I do not have his name written down. I should have. He's an interesting character though, because he's old-fashioned. He believes in courting a girl, and of course, which is something that was done long ago, but not quite so much anymore. And he's very, very formal about it, but he genuinely, truly likes her. It's quaint, but it's also pretty sweet when you look at it. Let me see. They don't really reveal too much yet about any of the other kids. They really, surprisingly enough, they didn't do a whole lot with Josh or Sky in this particular case, which really, really surprised me. But they did do a pretty interesting bit with Maddie, the middle daughter, and Elizabeth, her mother. Maddie had this romantic notion of going to become a doctor, and Maddie is really interesting. She's very, very nerdy. She's very, very knowledgeable. She's like a walking encyclopedia. And so she wants to go into medicine, but of course, well, a lot of people, you have to have a pretty strong stomach to be a doctor. And she starts seeing things, well, let's say no human being should see, unfortunately. For those of you who have ever looked up medical stuff at the Gross Out Factory, yeah, it's kind of like that. So she ends up not taking it all too well. And it's pretty amusing in that. But of course, the girl's 16 years old. She's still trying to figure out what she's going to do or wants to be in this new life. Also, it's the big mystery. It's just gnawing at me because I'm wondering, is the whole deal when this episode plays out, makes you wonder even more about Commander Taylor. Is he truly genuine and he's just misunderstood by some people, or is there something really dark going on here that he's not quite the really interesting, charismatic, and nice guy that everyone says he is, even though the people in Terra Nova are genuinely happy. So as this mystery plays out, I think we're going to find out some really cool things. I'm just hoping that they don't play it too much into I knew it, he was just a bad guy all along. I'm hoping that they kind of do that tug of war a little bit, because it keeps the story interesting. It's like back when I was watching the 4400. That was one of the driving forces that kept me watching that show, is because you always, little bitty things were revealed every day, every episode, which said some things that might have been positive about some characters and some things that were negative about some characters, and then the very next week they would say something positive about that same character while saying something negative about the other one. So you never knew what the whole deal was. It's a shame it was canceled, but that's neither here nor there. This is about Terra Nova, and I have to at least say, like I said before, this episode was quite good. It kept you interested. The plot moved along at a very, very good pace, and when you had that little bit of twist, and I think this, the writers of Terra Nova are really enjoying the whole twist that they're trying to throw through. They're trying their very best to try to throw as many curveballs as they can into the plot, and it works pretty well. And while still doing a nice little bit of sci-fi in it, Oh, by the way, I noticed this. The technology that they're showing in Terra Nova is really shown more to operate as a means to an end rather than being a driving force like it was in other sci-fi shows like, say, the Stargate series, where the technology was often the big MacGuffins going on. In this case, it's not quite so much, even with the last episode. And you can see a lot of that as it just goes on. They had a really cool thing where I was saying the girls were coloring. They were actually using these clear sheets of paper and these specialized pens, and when you wrote on it, it came out in different colors. And you just touched the little screen, it would vanish. It was like a really high-tech version of an Etch-a-Sketch. I thought that was really cool. But as I'm saying, they're showing the technology more in a utilitarian light than a plot device light. Though I don't doubt there are going to be some episodes that do show the plot as a plot. I mean, the technology as a plot device. And I like how they're also not being too heavy on the dinosaurs. They put them in, and of course, you're 85 million years in the past, so you know there are going to be dinosaurs out there. And when they put them in, they do a very good job with when they put them in, to where they are just a part of life there, rather than saying, "Ooh, cool, a dinosaur! Look," you know. Although they did have one scene where they did have sort of it felt a little shoehorned, but it worked for the scene, if you ask me. Where they did have one particular dinosaur. But that also leads me to one more thing. They show a lot of people going out like into the woods and everything like that. And I'm thinking, man, they got like dinosaurs out there that are big enough to eat a human in one bite, and they're not going out there really heavily armed, and especially with the Sixers letting a little kid run out there. It kind of makes you wonder just how these humans are able to survive in such an environment that's incredibly hostile to humans. But I think that they're probably going to develop that as time goes by. So I can let that slide. It's not really ruining it for me. Some people it might. I don't know. All in all, like I said, good episode. Very well paced. Good character development all around. Great story. Finally revealed a little bit more of the big picture that we're seeing in the series. So I hope to see more episodes like this. Scale of 1 to 10, this one really deserves a solid 8.5 to 9. I'm somewhere in that range. Very good. So, hope you enjoyed my little review of Terra Nova. Sorry for rambling a bit. But, please be sure, you can be sure you're going to expect more coming as the series progresses. So, once again, leave your comments down there in the comment section. Keep it civil as always, and as always, redundancy much, this is DecKrash, better known as Brandon. As always, stay lucky and stay blessed.